Hello and welcome back to the crowded seaside garage. At the moment I got three cars in the garage, which is quite a lot considering the size of this place because it's not very big. But to be honest, there could be a P50 over here or maybe a Danish Allert. Anyway, this is down to the fact that the Citroen BX is standing right there and I haven't touched the engine bay on that yet. I just finished filming the reveal of this car, so I need to work on that. But before I even got that, I ordered testing number plates for this and they arrive tomorrow. So I have a chance to go to the MOT with this tomorrow. I'm not sure I will do that, but I am going to take it for a test drive to test that everything works as it is supposed to, because I haven't really done anything other than driving down a gravel road, a private gravel road, but it seems to be working pretty well. What I want to do before that though is to fit the seat belts, because they have been removed from the car probably when it was painted. Then I would like to see if I can fit a carpet. I got a carpet from a Lada that I can maybe modify to fit this one. Then I would like to fit some new windscreen wipers. I also would like to clean the carb wheel quick, because as you remember in the previous video on this one, I did a massive cleaning of the fuel tank and I changed the fuel filter, but I did not clean out the carb. It is running pretty nice now, but it still has a small hesitation that I think is down to crap still being in that carb. So I'm going to give that a quick clean and then it should be good to go. Also, I would like to just change the valve cover gasket, because now I have a real one that is thick enough to take up that slack, so I maybe can avoid that oil spill that it has right now, because that could actually be an MOT fail. So firstly, I'm going to remove all of the interior so I can get to that carpet. I think this interior on the Datsun is going to look really nice once I'm done with it, because it's in good condition overall. Really good condition, actually. Nice. I got everything out of the Datsun now. I need to clean it up in here. I took the old carpet out, but I left the thick insulation underneath. I just cut the old carpet off of that, because that will make it nicer to drive, I'm pretty sure of. So I'm getting ready to just clean it up in here, and then it should be possible to at least attempt to fit that Lada carpet that I got. So I will start by vacuuming up and go from there. So it turns out that I'm not really a carpenter. No, that's not the right word. That's something with wood. Working with carpets is a bit more difficult than I had thought. Of course, this carpet didn't fit this car, so maybe that's a big problem, because it is shaped with some kind of rubber material on the rear end. I've tried to heat it up some places and form it a little bit, but it didn't work out perfectly. But I'm not going to do anything else right now, because I want to go to the MOT tomorrow when it's late. So I'm gonna fit the seats and it will be okay. It will look a lot better than nothing, at least. Another thing is that I actually didn't have any rubber bungs for the holes in the floor, so I need to take the carpet off again to fit them when I get them, and then I can maybe do a better job or find something else to do it with, but it's okay for now. I took off the surround for the gear stick though, because it was really broken and I would like to try to redo that at some point and then fit it again. So it's not fitted right now. But I'm going to fit the seats and then... oh, by the way, the seat belts are back in. So now that is good and it's working and all that on both sides. So that is really nice. Yeah. There we go. The seats are back in and the seat belts are now attached, and there is some kind of carpet in here at least, and it's not looking that bad now that everything is back on, actually. I am resisting the urge to clean it because I would really like to clean the inside of this car because it will come, I'm sure it will come out mint almost. But I don't have the time for it right now because it's late evening and I need to do some other stuff before going to bed because tomorrow I got valid testing number plates and I don't know if I'm gonna go to the MOT, but at least I'm gonna have a lot of fun in this car and testing it out and make sure that the brakes are working and all that. So what I want to do now is to remove the carb to clean it out once again after all that debris. And I'm also gonna put on a new valve cover gasket. Yeah, I could adjust the valves, but there's nothing that really tells me that they are out of whack because it sounds pretty nice. But the main thing is that you need to adjust the valves on this engine with a hot engine, and it's not hot right now. I'm not going to run it hot just to do that right now. So I'm just going to change the valve cover gasket and rip off the carb. And I have really done this quite some times now. But this should be the last one because I can see the new fuel filter is looking clean still. So there's no debris coming from that fuel tank anymore. So all that's left is the stuff in the carb, and to be honest also in the fuel pump, possibly in the fuel pump, but I don't dare to take that apart because the membrane could be ruined. And if I'm going to drive this car tomorrow, that wouldn't be good. So I'm just going to chance it. And that also gives me the chance to take off the carb for just one more time. But I'm really interested in seeing how bad it is in there. There we go. And now I think that I'm off to bed for tonight. And then tomorrow I'm going to change the gasket, clean the carb and put it back on, and then it's driving time. As you can see, there is that crap in there. It's not bad, but it's there. So a quick clean. So it's the next day and I've just finished up cleaning out the carb inside using compressed air and some brake cleaner. I will fit this to the car, the same with the valve cover with the new gasket. And then that should be good to go for today at least. And then I'm going to swap out both of the bulbs at the front. It's only one of them that's blown, but the one that's not blown has also seen 18 volts, so it will be blowing anytime. So I'm going to change both of them. I don't want them to be blown before I reach the MOT or something like that. That would be so annoying. pretty much no gas in the tank. I filled in 4 liters or something when cleaning out the tank. And when I hit that slope, it runs out of fuel. This is a special moment. This car's back on the road for the first time in 36 years. That's pretty awesome. That's the same year that I was born, 1987. This car was taken off the road. Never got back, but now it's back. It is slowly getting up to temp right now. It is not pulling completely as I wanted to. I think maybe I have some issues still with the acceleration pump. Oh, stuff is flying out of the vent. Stop doing that. Like that. But I think the acceleration pump is slightly, there's something wrong with that, I think. But it is running pretty well, especially now that a bit of temp is in the car. And it is really nimble and easy to drive, easy to steer, and everything seems pretty nice. And the brakes, there's something else I gotta say, because these brakes, I haven't driven anything of this vintage with this good brakes. I have even driven, I think they actually stack up to modern standards, to be completely honest. They are really, really effective. Of course there's no ABS, but they are really, really effective. Ah, this is fun. I love the sound of this car. The small crackling from the exhaust. I don't know if you can hear it, but using the engine to brake or just coasting in gear, it just makes the greatest small from the rear. A bit like a Morris Minor actually. It's really nice. This door is not closing at all. I need to adjust that, and the window is loose in there because there's no rubbers inside of here, but other than that, it's really wonderful, especially considering that this car's not been on the road for so many years, and it feels like it's doing this every day with no problems. It is really nice. And then take a listen. It feels like it cuts out when I'm standing still, but the idle is so low and so silent. But the pickup is not perfect. When I floor it, it sort of stumbles. It tells me that something is not right with the acceleration pump, and maybe there's some, I think maybe the two halves is worn out or not straight, so it's not really getting the pressure that it's supposed to do, but I don't know. Could also just be small adjustments. But once it's beyond that point, it is pulling pretty nicely considering it's such a small engine in such a light car. This is fun. I feel really at home in this car. Quite surprised about that actually. Woo! This is a lot of fun. If I can sort that carburetor issue out, it will be really, really nice. I'm enjoying this way more than I thought I would. Woo! To be honest, I think this car is ready for an MOT. I can't feel anything that is not at least as good as everything else that I have on the road at the moment. Not saying much, I know, but it really feels well put together, and the brakes giving me great confidence in the car. It just works, and it's really good. You know what? I'm going to the MOT. Wish me luck. So back from the test trip that actually ended up going to the MOT station because everything felt all right. But before telling you how that went, I just want to tell you a little story about the car, because some weeks back I was actually contacted on Instagram by the wife to the previous owner of this car, and she asked if I would like to hear the whole story of this car and gave me his phone number. I actually forgot about it for a while, but then after driving it today, I remembered it and called him up, and he told me the story about this car, at least for the period that he owned the car, and that is 35 years. So he owned it from 1987 until 2022, where he sold it to one guy in Denmark who sold it to another guy who I bought it from. So it's really interesting. Back in 87, he bought it. While he owned it, it was never on number plates. He told me it was completely rotten back then, which makes sense because it's really showing that a lot of work has been done on this car. He told me he had a good mate who helped him weld it up in his spare time. It took his mate a year to weld it up. That tells you a bit about how much work this car needed. Then it stood around for a long time. But one thing I just would like to add, yes, there's been a lot of rust work done on this car, but it was done back in 1990. So it's 20 plus years ago that all the rust work has been done. When you see this kind of rust repairs on a car, you never really know how well it's done. And sometimes the rust can kick back really quickly. This is 23 years ago or thereabouts. So it's proper, it's done pretty nicely. Maybe not the most beautiful work in the world, but it's done nicely and gets the job done. And I would like to add all the cosmetic rust repairs on the fenders and so on outside, and the door skins are actually really well made. It's just the repairs on the floor panels that is a bit patch on patch style, but it doesn't really matter. But then a couple of years went by, then the owner and his son decided to start fixing the rest of the car up, and they got it painted. This is not the original color. I know a lot of you has been asking me about that. It is not the original color. This is actually a Jaguar color. I think it suits the car really well, but it was supposed to be a bit more brownish, I think, was his explanation. And then the car stood for a long time once again. It has always been stored dry, actually in a container for a long time. His plan was of course to fix it up, and a couple of years back he started with the rest of it. And back, I think also in the 90s, he actually rebuilt the entire brake system. That makes sense for me because, as I have been talking about on this project, everything seems new but old and not used. He told me he put on brand new brake calipers and all that, and it just makes sense when you look at it. Another thing he pointed out is, I have been talking a lot about this car being a low miler because of some wear that I didn't find. Especially the brakes, all that looks so new. That turns out to have been changed, all of that. But he actually knows the amount of kilometers that is on this car. He was a bit puzzled about the fact that it stayed 6,000 on the odometer, because when he had it, there was written 8,000. So the 6. So it must have moved about for some reason. It's a bit weird, but he knew that this car got 208,000 kilometers on the clock. So not a low miler at all. It's actually a high miler, but nonetheless, amazing. Then a couple of years back, he started to fix the tires up, put new rubbers on it, and do all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, he never got to finish it, and had to sell it on. So the next thing I told him was that I went to the MOT with this car today. And it passed. There is one single advisory on that list from the MOT today, and that is there is no washer fluid in the washer bottle, so the windscreen washer wasn't working. That's the only thing. Everything else was bang on. Of course, he noticed all the rust repairs, and he was really frantic with the hammer all around to make sure that everything was all right. It passed. He even stated that the brakes on this car is just as good and maybe even slightly better than many modern cars, and I totally agree after the test drive because they are amazing on this car. It makes sense because the previous owner fixed the brakes. I just fixed them up and re-greased them and all that. They are brand new. And he was really excited to hear that the car finally is back on the road after being off the road for 35 years. It's amazing. It was only on the road for around 10 years, 9 or 10 years, and then it was just rotted away, and then off the road for a really long time. It's pretty amazing. But the car is MOT'd. I'm still waiting on number plates because it's so old that it's lost in the system. So they have to dig it out from somewhere to verify it's the real car and all that. But it's MOT'd. I know I have been talking about selling this car. The whole plan for this was to fix it up and sell it. And yeah, that is the plan because I need money for all the other projects. But right now, today, after the test drive, it is so nice to drive. It's really fun to drive. It's supposed to get pretty nice mileage and be cheap to run. It got a tow hitch so I can drive my little trailer to the dump. And I really like it. And the sound of this car is awesome. Part of that is because it has a slight exhaust leak up at the front, but it's crackling and all that. It's like a little rally car. I love it. So right now, also because I'm having huge problems with the Lada Niva, they seem to have been solved now, but I have had a lot of issues with that car. At the moment, I am tempted to go ahead and sell the Lada instead. I really have to think about what to do next because it's also a shame to sell this car because it's so nice. Oh, I'm undecided. I'm really undecided. One thing is for sure, I'm not going to drive this before the weather gets a little better because salt is a no-go on this car. It's too nice for that. But anyway, thank you for watching and thank you for the support I get on Patreon. It means a lot. And see you in the next one.